So
Wow.
medyo, yeah,
Were you able
mahaba-haba.
were you able to figure out sir, yung kung saan mo nakuha or how you were
Marami kami dito eh. It's about the same variant, I guess, because even the other colleagues who contracted it
Yeah.
took quite a while before they recovered. So I would guess we all contracted a similar variant, and it's probably due to exposure with, work related to, perhaps with
Hindi
regard to the chain of events na nangyari after February 24, yung unfortunate incident sa QC. So we
mm,
were like, we were all stressed and lacking in sleep and rest, and I guess it all just went south from there.
sa bagay sir, hindi may iwasan face to face talaga sa line of work ninyo.
Hindi,
Um,
hindi. Like when we after the incident, we had to do a joint press briefing with the PNP, and so we were there. Sa
mm,
multi-purpose kami sa Krame, so it's probably one of the contributory factors. And I'm not discounting other times when I met up with people siguro na outside of work. That could also be one. I mean, outside of the
yeah.
workplace here.
Yung
Hindi
dangers
masabi.
ng of your job sir medyo twofold kasi apart
Yeah.
from yung inherent danger of working for PDEA,
Mhm.
meron ka pang COVID na iniisip sir.
Yeah, that holds true, especially for agents who work the streets. Kasi pag
Yes.
lumapag ka sa isang community, you don't know kung sino infected doon at hindi. And even the person you're arresting, you're not even sure. So, paano?
Right. Oo nga.
So, I guess.
Uh,
uh,
spokes, your
yes, sir.
designation is director ba sa PDEA or
My
what's
rank
your
is direct. My rank is director.
rank is director? Okay.
My rank is director three. The
Director
the
3.
designation is chief PIO. And I'm actually
Mm.
that the chief PIO is only actually a concurrent designation. My directorial position is with the compliance service. It's our licensing and regulatory office. It's in charge of issuing licenses and permits to practitioners as well as to chemical and pharmaceutical companies that deal
Ah,
on
okay.
dangerous drugs. So
Okay.
I'm the director of compliance service and concurrent chief PIO. My rank is director three.
PIO.
Mhm.
Nice. Okay, direct. Got
Okay.
it.
Yes, sir.
We're about to start.
Sige, sir.
Okay, sir. Here we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Istoryang Futbolero. My name's Ron Poblete. We're starting early tonight because we have a very special guest all the way from PDEA. Let me welcome isa sa mga masisipag at matalinong kawani ng gobyerno ngayon, si ang spokesman po, si Director Derrick Carreon ng PDEA.
Yes.
Sir, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us on Istoryang Futbolero.
Yes. Magandang gabi, sir. Sa ngalan po ni Director General Wilkins M. Villanueva, isang karangalan na makasama kayong ngayong gabi dito po sa inyong palatuntunan na Istoryang Futbolero.
Ah, naglalaro ka ba ng football dati, Direk?
Uh, I do remember a few times kicking ball on the streets, and that's about the closest I could get. I'm not really good with ball games. I do 10-pin bowling once in a while, and that's about it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Direk, for joining us. Kasi
Opo, opo.
marami kaming katanungan.
Mhm.
When I first thought of having you guest on Historia Futbolero, I had these questions in mind already for the last 5 years, ever since President Duterte came into power. Kasi syempre, one of his
Opo.
priorities is the what they call the war on drugs, which is the drug campaign.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
a
yes.
priority by this administration to really, as much as possible, remove drugs from the streets. And
Mhm.
so happens the PDEA is a key mover, a key agent in making this happen. So first, let me
Yes.
ask you, Direk, how's everything at PDEA? Kamusta na kayo dyan sa panahon ng pandemya?
Opo, sa awa ng Diyos po, patuloy pa rin ang ating mga anti-drug operations. And in fact, sa katatapos lang pong paratuntunan natin, which aired at Radyo Pilipinas and PTV4 simultaneously, naidetalye po natin yung mga operations natin dealing in Commonplace na yun ng buy-bust operations involving kilograms. Divide the kilogram na ang usapan.
Wow.
Kilo-kilo na ang usapan pa nag-buy-bust tayo. So we're talking about volumes costing or worth 3.4 million, 4 million, 5 million, 6 million. Kilo-kilo yan ang usapan, or at least half kilo at the very minimum. And then, of course, we have major confiscations of drugs, like, for instance, yung mga na-intercept coming from the Cordillera region in the form of marijuana bricks. Patuloy pa rin yan. And then, of course, the dismantling of drug dens, which are one-stop shops for selling and at the same time using dangerous drugs. At kung saan nandun na rin yung mga paraphernalia, yung mga parokyano, nakikigamit sa lugar ng mga nagbebenta ng droga, which are located usually in areas where there are informal settlers or depressed areas. And of course, hindi nawawala din dyan yung, kasi if I give you a short background of the anti-drug campaign,
Yes, please.
especially now, under the leadership of Director General Wilkins M. Villanueva, equal emphasis is given to all the three different strategies of the anti-drug campaign. Isa-isa po yan. Supply reduction. Pag sinabing supply reduction, inilalayo ang droga sa tao. Pag sinabing demand reduction, inilalayo ang tao sa illegal na droga. Ngayon, ano po ang mangyayari kapag hindi natin naiwasan at nagsalubong o nagtagpo ang illegal na droga at ang tao at gumamit na nga ng droga ang tao? Then there's harm reduction. In other words, it's intervention for people who use drugs, or yung tinatawag nating P-woods. Anong gagawin natin sa kanila? Kasi nga gumamit na sila ng illegal na droga. The only plausible solution would be to give intervention, number one, rehabilitation in varying degrees for people who use drugs, and reformation for the people who were enticed to join the illegal drug trade in whatever capacity, so that we can retool their mindset, change their mindset, and convince them that there are decent means of livelihood, not without being involved in illegal drug activities. So yun po, paulit-ulit na sinasabi ngayon ni Director General Wilkins M. Villanueva, walang dapat mamatay kung tutugon lamang sila sa paanyaya ng pamahalaan sa pamamagitan hindi lang ng PDEA, pati ang local government and the anti-drug abuse councils and even private stakeholders. Na please, sumailalim kayo sa intervention upang matugunan yung problema nyo. If it's drug use, then you go through either recovery and wellness programs administered by the Philippine National Police. There are community-based drug rehabilitation programs administered with the help of the local government and of course supervised by the DSWD and the DOH. Kasi bakit may DSWD? Importante yan dahil after the intervention, ibigyan ng livelihood yung tao para matigil na yung paggamit nila ng illegal na droga. And at the same time, may kabuhayan sila maayos. Pag talagang sobra naman na ang paggamit at hindi na maiwasan na talagang may pasok sa facility yung tao, then we have 6 to 9 months of full facility-based rehabilitation under the Department of Health, and then, or its accredited centers if it's privately owned. And then after that, it's 18 months of aftercare. Yan po yung para sa mga medyo heavy na or heavy on drug dependence. So, again, we're trying to remove the usual terminology. Of course, it's still a strict terminology. Yung tinatawag na addict, pero well, we're talking about drug users in varying degrees. So that's how the intervention goes for drug users. Whereas reformation is for people na yun, nakapit patalim at gumamit, or hindi gumamit, kundi nasama sa supply chain ng illegal na droga. Naging runner, naging street level pusher, bata ng tulak, taga-pasa o taga-benta, dahil nga wala silang napagkakakita ang kabuhayan na maayos. So yan naman po under either yung dating bahay pagbabago, and ngayon po ay tinatawag na balay silangan, which is a reformatory program in order to change, retool, reshape the mindset of people who are enticed to be part of the illegal drug trade for lack of any decent or plausible means of livelihood. So ganun sir, yung kampanya natin it's threefold. Supply reduction, demand reduction, harm reduction.
Alam mo, Derek, maganda na na-explain mo in a very very quick manner on how what the PDEA is prioritizing right now. Kasi people sometimes misunderstand what the drug war is all about. They think it's all about catching bad guys or eliminating drug lords. But the truth of the matter is malaking component yung rehabilitation dito, yung tulungan yung mga tao
Yes.
na nalulung sa droga, di ba? Direct.
Yes, yes, sir. Rehabilitation and reintegration and reformation are major parts of the anti-drug campaign. Kaya nga po dun sa ICAD or ICAD sa sinasabi ng iba, Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs, which is now composed of about 42 member agencies, if I remember right. At kasama dyan, pati PCOO, in fact. And of course, the chair is our Director General. Kasama, ilan ang cluster niyan? Law enforcement, justice, and then we have advocacy. Kasi nga, it's all about putting all the different components of the campaign together. And there's also rehabilitation and reintegration. Kaya, pasok yan dun sa ating three-pronged approach. Kasi yes, it's true, there's law enforcement and justice in order to ensure that we succeed in the supply reduction side. But then there's advocacy. Para yung mga tao nga, mahikayat natin, oy, ang droga walang may dudulot na maayos sa buhay nyo. Lumayo kayo, huwag kayong gumamit. Huwag kayong magpahikayat na gumamit. At pag talagang hindi na maiwasan at gumamit ng droga, ayan ang rehabilitasyon and reintegration. Para after, mabago yung kanilang mindset at natanggal yung kanilang craving. Of course, it's called addiction technically. Pag nawala yung addiction and then nawala na rin yung mindset nila na droga lang ang sagot sa kahirapan, then they will be reintegrated with the help of the livelihood programs spearheaded by the Department of Social Welfare and Development. So, maganda yung kampanya. Minsan lang kasi nabibigyan ng focus masyado yung operational side. And that is why, and sadly, sometimes with media hype, they prefer to hear stories of action, which are, of course, law enforcement stories like what we are engaged in. And doon na lang napupunta lahat ng focus. Hindi naman
Kasi
po
gusto nila i-sensationalize kasi direct yung drug war eh. Yung meron lang, syempre hindi maiwasan direct na may mga incidents where a person dies during an operation.
Yes.
It's unavoidable.
Yes, sir. In fact, if we were to peruse on the numbers of real numbers or hashtag real numbers PH, which is now in year 4, reckoned from the date of the start of the intensified anti-drug campaign under President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, here are the operational figures. Sir Ron, if you may allow me to read my código.
Sige sir, go ahead.
Sayang, hindi natin na-flash. Sana yung social cards, kung nakuha natin, pwede natin i-flash. But
oo nga,
let's improvise. Di ba, maybe in the next engagement we'll do that. But anyway, anti-illegal drug operations conducted, 196,610. Hindi lang PDEA ito, dahil definitely kasama rito yung PNP, UNBI, even the Bureau of Customs, and other law enforcement agencies. So 196,610. Kung saan ang naaresto pong mga tao ay 283,837. Meaning, hindi 1:1 ang operation. May mga operations na nahuhuli ay mahigit isang tao. And ang official running count po natin na sinasabi na persons who died during anti-drug operations, contrary to whatever other figures were brought out out there, wherever, whether in mainstream media, social media, and whatever other platforms, by people who are trying to sow discord against the anti-drug campaign. Kasi Sir Ron, some people are alleging to it, 10, 20, 30. May narinig pa yata akong 40,000 eh.
40,000.
Sobra na. Nahihilo na rin ako. Pero totoo po dyan, ang namatay lamang ay 6,089 in a span of 4 years.
Since 2016.
Yes,
correct.
2016 and the data ending March 31. 6,089. Kasi if only to explain this, minsan kasi ang binibilang nila, pati yung hindi actual anti-drug operation. Mali po yun. Ano yung mga ganito? Yung mga tipong lalaki, hindi tumalima sa police checkpoint. So he ran the checkpoint and then exchanged gunfire with the police. That's not an anti-drug operation. But then when they finally subdued the suspect, sadly, kung napatay man siya, may na-recover na armas, naturally. Na-recover yung sasakyan niya na pinang-run niya sa checkpoint o pinang-lampas niya sa checkpoint. Then may na-recover na droga. Bibilangin po nila yun. Hindi anti-drug operation po yun eh. Anti-drug operations are construed in the parlance of Republic Act 9165 to be planned anti-drug operations. Ano po yan? Common operations would be by bust. Nagbenta yung suspect, binili ng undercover agent, inulit. Implementation of search warrant or warrant of arrest. So in other words, Meron tayong search warrant, pumunta tayo sa bahay ng suspect, we implemented the warrant, and then ayun, we effected the arrest. Pag lumaban, nagkaroon ng palitan ng putok, possibly may mamamatay. So, but then, ganun eh. Or interdiction operations. May shipment ng illegal na droga, paparating, hinarang ng tropa, hinuli yung mga may dala. Ganun din. These are planned anti-drug operations for dismantling of a yeah.
Direct, when talking about real numbers, and you mentioned 6,000 plus deaths so
6,089.
6,089 deaths since 2016.
Yes,
If you compare that to other countries who have the same problems with drugs, is that comparable? Is that if you put it in context with that Direct, malaking number ba yung 6,000 plus?
Well, of course, giving respect to the value of human life, etc. They always say one death is one death too many. Pero kung titingnan natin yung mga, hindi ko po memoryado yung figura ng mga ibang bansa na nagsagawa rin ng kanilang intensified or aggressive anti-drug operations and anti-drug campaigns. The numbers have been, if I recall, they're definitely higher. And of course, bilang kasama sa kampanya laban sa illegal na droga bilang alagad ng batas. Kami po makapagsasabi na kami mismo ayaw namin na may namamatay on either side. Ngunit pag hiniling po kasi ng pagkakataon at kailangan namin ipagtanggol ang aming sarili at gayon din, lalong-lalo na po yung mga nasa paligid namin, then by all means, we will have to. Because time and again, Sir Ron, baka hindi po nila alam, an armed criminal is dangerous. But an armed criminal na equally, in fact, even more dangerous is an armed criminal under the influence of illegal drugs.
Yes. Yeah.
Ibang usapan ho yan. In fact, kaya nga po medyo mataas ang kalibre na issue sa ating mga ahente. Dahil malamang yan, pagputukan mo ng average caliber only meant to disable, ay baka marami po PDEA agent na mamamatay. Dahil aabuti ng taga o ng saksak.
Alam mo, Direk, tama ka dyan, no? Kasi while I was researching on this, I came across a documentary. During World War II pala, the Germans would they would use methamphetamine to parang enhance yata their capacity to wage war. So in battle nagsasabu pala yung mga German soldiers.
Pampalakas loob. Well, see, now there's a historical data here pointing to methamphetamine as a long-standing stimulant for people who want to up their level of bravery and courage and bravado. Nakakatakot po yan. Ganon din naman ang hindi pa Sir Ron, yung mga balibalita ng mga nagsasagawa ng krimen, kadalasan napapatunayan ay nasa impluensya ng illegal na droga. Walang iniwan po yan. Mga nang-hold up na nakagamit pala, or pumapatay, nakagamit pala, nang mamasakir ng pamilya, nakagamit pala. And then pag tinanong ng investigador, bakit mo ginawa yan? Sasabihin nila, sir, trip lang. Mapakamot ulo na lang. Diyos ko po. Diba?
Direk, I'm just curious no kasi karamihan natin mga viewers kasi syempre iniisip rin nila ano ba yung comparison kasi back the previous administration we don't want to compare the administration of Pinoy and kasi ang PDEA naman ever since has been in the forefront of combating drugs no. But how bad was it before the time of PRRD? Was it nagkaroon ba tayo ng kasi may nagkwento sa akin Direk na yung time daw kasi ni Pinoy, I am sure, he did his best to counteract drugs.
We would like to think. Lahat naman po ng pinuno, diba? May kampanya tayo. Yes.
Diba?
And the anti-drug campaign has always been there.
Pero nagsabi sa akin, Direk, kung hindi daw naging presidente sa PRRD, ay baka talagang naging narco country daw tayo, narco politics na bansa. Dahil nagsiset up na daw pala dito yung mga foreign drug cartels sa Pilipinas at nagiging parang distribution center ng ating region dito sa Asia, ang Pilipinas. How true is that, Direk? Would you know anything about?
Yes, sir. In my 15 years of service in PDEA, where of course that started sometime 2006, and that was under 2 administrations ago, in fact, under former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. During that time, and even before I entered PDEA as a media practitioner, we've already been monitoring news of huge, we're talking about with emphasis on huge, shabu laboratories being established in the Philippines by members of different transnational drug syndicates. Primarily at that time, many of them were members of Chinese or Taiwanese drug trafficking organizations. And shortly after, in the years that passed, and I was already in PDEA since 2006, nariyan na po yung emergence ng other threat groups. Like, apart from the Chinese drug syndicates, there were members of the African drug syndicates who are also involved in smaller scale smuggling using drug mules or drug couriers. Na naging malaking problema, kaya nga po nag-establish in fact nung tinatawag na TFTC or Task Force Drug Couriers. That was towards the end of the administration of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo sometime in 2010. And then, nagkaroon na rin ng indicators na as early as sometime in 2012, if I remember right, ay yung with the dismantling of a shabu laboratory in a posh subdivision in south of Manila, meron po doon yung Hong Kong-based Chinese drug trafficking organization that was actually financed by members of the Mexican Sinaloan drug syndicate, and it was Peru's based on bank records that were recovered in that shabu laboratory inside that exclusive subdivision na ang kanyang main laboratory naman ay natuntun sometime in June of 2012 nung may magnanakaw na pumasok sa isang abandoned na pasilidad sa may East Service Road sa Parañaque. How do we come to that conclusion? Nung nag-forensic examination tayo ng mga kagamitan na na-recover dun sa exclusive subdivision versus the ones that were found in East Service Road in Parañaque, they were all similar. In fact, identical. Yung mga kagamitan at yung mga chemical na nahanap doon. So, that led us to conclude na in fact, yung laboratorio sa loob ng exclusive subdivision na finance nga ng Mexican drug syndicates was in fact only, it was a 1 hectare property, sir. Malaki-laki yun. It was only parang a research and development lab at yung main lab nila nandoon pala sa East Service Road sa Parañaque. At napakalaki po doon. Wow. Kasi ang nangyari po doon, nasa basement yung shabu lab, yung kanilang imbakan ng chemical at kagamitan at yung mga cover story nila ng furniture plus paper towels nandun sa may ground area. And may second floor pa po yun. Doon yung patuyuan ng mga finished products. So malaki-laki yun. And I shudder at the thought kung gaano karami ang naluto nila doon. Dahil definitely, nung ni-examine po ng ating mga forensic chemists yung mga kagamitan doon at yung mga chemical, nakapagluto po talaga sila. And that would mean marami-rami silang nailatag doon at nailabas. At kung saan-saan na kumalat po yun. So ganun po kalaki ang problema sa illegal na droga. We saw the emergence of so many huge-scale shabu laboratories back in the day. And if you will, of course, again, without meaning to really compare administrations, but in order to compare the effort or the suppression of the illegal drugs. Ngayon po, napapansin natin, wala na po tayo nakikita ng mga ganong kalalaki na shabu laboratories. Most of the shabu laboratories being dismantled now are small R&D or research and development labs. And bulk of the supply of illegal drugs entering the country or proliferating here are from smuggling or from smuggled illegal drugs coming from or brought in primarily by members of the Golden Triangle Drug Syndicate. Ito po yung karamihan, Sir Ron, yung nakikita natin na ang kanyang packaging ay yung balot ng tsaa in different colors. May green, may dilaw, may pula. Diba nung Pasko, nagkalat yung may nahuli ang PDEA Regional Office na National Capital Region, yung sabay sa Pasko. Kasing tingkad nung kulay ng damit mo, sir, pulang-pula. And ito yung mga nakatago sa balot ng tsaa. Ayan po. And then if you recall, sometime I think in June or July, meron yung 800 plus kilos sa Marilao, Bulacan. Ganun din. Balot ng tsaa, and then ang outer na balot or outer na container ay lata ng biskwit or ng crackers. We had a similar confiscation on Christmas Day of 2019. Yeah, I remember. December 2019. Kung saan ganun din po, dito naman sa may Quezon City. Lata ng biskwit, balot ng tsaa ang laman. Ito po yung typical na nakukuha, na smuggled by the Golden Triangle drug syndicate. So
Pero,
that's our barometer, or that's our basis of gauging kung gaano ka-epektibo yung anti-drug campaign. Hindi na po basta-basta nakakapagluto ang sindikato ng droga.
hindi na ganun ka, siguro direct, no? Hindi naka-brazen yung mga
Yes.
mga cartels to actually manufacture the drugs within the territory. Kailangan nilang ilabas dahil sobrang mainit na. Hindi kagaya dati na pwede silang magrenta ng bahay sa isang posh subdivision at doon sila magluto.
Precisely. Ganyan sila. They hide in plain sight. And it's they swing between locations that have already used before. Kapag yan natimbong sila sa exclusive subdivision, pupunta naman yan sa rural area. Sa pinanggalingan ko po, nag-regional director ako sa Region 2. Bago po ako umupo doon, yung predecessor ko, si Director Juvenal Azurid, na ngayon ay Regional Director sa PDEA Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, may na-dismantle po na laboratory, Shabu Laboratory in Lasam, Cagayan, na kung saan ang cover story naman ay sheep and goat farming. Early on in 2009, I believe, there was also another similar facility that was dismantled in Naguilian, La Union, where ganun din, may sariling generator, and it was in a remote location somewhere in Naguilian, La Union, in Barangay Motogot, if I remember right. Ganun din ang setup. So they swing between rural locations, agricultural sites, and then, kung naman, exclusive subdivisions, or yung iba naman po, yung mga condominium na restricted access. Marami rin po tayo napuntahan ganun back in the day. Until the start of the campaign in 2016, 2017, until shortly after, na nawawala na yung malalaking shabulam, more on, tinatawag na research and development labs na lang.
Research and development labs. Tapos importation,
smuggling.
Smuggling na ang ginagawa nila. Direct, for the benefit of our viewers, if kagaya before na meron silang mga natatayong they're able to set up shabu labs within the territory or within the city. How does that translate to the number of users? Pag ganun kalaki yung supply manufacturing, gaano kadami ang naapektuhan dyan sa communities na nakakatanggap or nakakabili ng droga? Meron kayong study na nagawa?
I'm not privy to any specific study on that. But again, we started the figure at 4 million back in 2016. And fortunately, a survey of the dangerous drugs board recently has proven that the campaign worked because we were able to bring it down to, I think, is it 1.5 or 1.6 million now as of the last DDB commission survey. Pero what are we talking about here? Ang sabi nga po ni Director General Wilkins Villanueva, kaya equally important yung other aspects of the campaign. Because for as long as there are users, then there will definitely be syndicates who will step up to fuel the demand. Kaya dapat po dyan talaga equal importance is given to demand reduction or informing people on the harmful effects of illegal drugs and the scathing circumstances or kung anong panganib ang dala. Hindi lang nung paggamit ng illegal na droga, kasi paggamit ng illegal na droga, nariyan ang pinsala na dala sa tao mismo, sa kanyang pangangatawan at isip, at sa kanyang buong pagkatao. Your mind, body, and spirit are destroyed when you go into drug use, especially when it's heavy drug use. But then look, there are other victims. Kawawa ang iyong pamilya. Because definitely living with a heavy drug user, in whatever varying degree, is hell. And then, of course, it gravitates to the community. And if several people are like this, several families are definitely affected and communities are affected. Kaya nga dapat equal importance is given to the different facets or the different aspects of the anti-drug campaign. So, mabuti na lang po talaga at nagkaroon talaga ng tamang focus at emphasis ang kampanya laban sa illegal na droga. Dahil kung hindi, we will be looping around in circles like dogs chasing our own tail. Kasi nga, importante yung manghuli, importante mag-file ng kaso, at importante na ma-convict yung mga inuhuli natin. But equally important is yun nga, to take away the demand and at the same time address or mitigate the harm kapag hindi na po naiwasan at may mga taong gumamit or nasangkot sa illegal na droga. That's the way to go. And Director General Wilkins M. Villanueva also wants to give emphasis to the fact that while people are trying to put so much emphasis on yung mga namatay, little is known that by now probably the figure has increased. But at the last time na nag-discuss kami ni Director General Wilkins M. Villanueva, more than 500,000 drug users have already in fact successfully, and this is the good news na dapat malaman ng ating mga kababayan, mahigit kalahating milyon na po ng mga taong nasangkot o gumamit ng illegal na droga ang nabigyan ng kaukulang intervention at ngayon po ay nagbabagong buhay na. Nananahimik na. Of course, there will always be people who will say, may tendency for relapse pa rin yan. Oh, sure. Just like any other sickness. It's a sickness.
Yes.
Kapag hindi naagapan, naturally, of course, there will be relapse. And that's why equal importance is given to aftercare. At dyan nga po pumapasok yung mga iba't ibang programa natin. Kasi maski sa Barangay Drug Clearing Program, Sir Ron, which is the flagship program of the Duterte administration in addressing the remaining drug-affected barangays, which segue tayo sa detalye, sir.
Yes, please.
42,045 total barangays in the Philippines. And with now 21,471 cleared, dati drug-affected in varying degrees. Now we have 21,471 drug-cleared barangays with only 13,649. About 32, 33% remaining to be cleared until the end of the anti-drug campaign under President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, meaning until June of 2022. Our target is to clear all these remaining barangays, drug-affected barangays.
It came from talagang very mind-boggling numbers, no? Yung
Opo,
it's almost insurmountable yung problema natin. So biglang talagang over the past 5 years, talagang bumagsak na talaga yung
pababa na po, yes. Pababa na talaga yung trend ng drug-affected barangays, and local government units are in fact really bent on maintaining their drug-cleared status. Why? Because it translates to progress. Kapag hindi po naglipa na ang illegal na droga sa isang lokalidad, nariyan po ang pagpasok ng mga investors. Nariyan ang kumpiyansa ng mga magninegosyo na pwede silang mag-invest o magtayo na negosyo dyan at hindi madidisgrasya ang malulugi ang kanilang negosyo. Sans of course the problem with the pandemic, ibang usapan to eh. But definitely, when the incidence of illegal drugs is low in a particular place, I do not have the figures of the Philippine National Police, but they have also published a study on this, that in fact, crime rate has a directly proportional relationship with illegal drug activity. Kapag bumaba ang incidence ng illegal na droga sa isang lugar, definitely the incidence of crime is also lower or much lower. Ano yung ibig sabihin yan? Kaya nga, tahimik ang lugar, mas maraming gusto mag-invest. Ganun po yung equation nun, Sir Ron.
Derek, you mentioned communities, no? Kasi primarily the communities are the ones that are being affected by the drug problem that we have here in our country. So, apart from the family, which is the most basic unit, nakakasira talaga siya ng pamilya. Pero over the past few years kasi, syempre we've been getting also our fair share of criticism coming from the opposition regarding the drug campaign. Basically, it's more about human rights, but they tend to forget that there are real problems that are happening on the ground. And it's very fascinating to say rin, Derek, na every time we get to speak, and I'm not speaking for myself only, I've heard people talk about this before. Every time they ride, like for example, a taxi or a pedicab or a tricycle, and if they're curious enough, they will ask these people, Manong, kamusta po ang inyong neighborhood? Kamusta yung inyong barangay? Mas nakakatakot pa rin ba ngayon? Marami bang may mga hold-upper pa rin ba? And generally speaking, Direk, karamihan ang sinasabi nila, ang feedback nila, ay biglang tumahimik. Nawala daw yung mga drug addict, nawala daw yung mga drug lord. I can cite an example, Direk, nung 2017, I had the chance to be with Asik Mocha at that time. We visited a place in Quezon City called Kulyat. And that's it's a notorious area for distribution of drugs. As a matter of fact, policemen even told me, mga PNP, na takot daw sila pumasok doon sa sa compound na yun dahil grabe daw yung proliferation ng droga doon.
It's a challenging place. Opo,
Di ba?
we of course, yeah, we've heard about stories on what happens there pag medyo bagong mukha ka.
Oo,
Bagong mukha, anyo mo doon, bagong salta ka doon, medyo hindi ka nakilala ng mga nandun, something
delikado.
might possibly happen. So, yes, so continue, sir. Anong kwento nila sa kulya?
So sabi nila, nung pumunta kami doon, and we went house to house and we asked the neighbors, the neighborhood, no? Sabi nila, ay nako sir, tahimik na dito ngayon, hindi na nakakatakot. Hindi
Mhm.
gaya dati, nung pumasok daw si Presidente, for in the span of 6 months daw or so, talagang tinanggal na wala yung either umalis daw yung mga yung mga pusher o yung mga salot doon or
Mhm.
natakot, talagang bigla na lang nawala. Yun yung kanilang kwento.
Yes.
And it's not exclusively itong kwento nito, hindi lang narinig ko na that happened in a place like Kulyat. But also, there's also mention of a place called Maharlika Village in Taguig.
Mhm.
Ganun rin,
Adi.
very notorious for drugs. And yun rin, medyo tumahimik rin daw talaga, direct. So, I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, may direct correlation ba yung pagbagsak ng yung image, yung impression ng mga tao who live in these areas doon sa pag-lessen rin ng drug cases at saka ng mga drug usage sa mga kakilang area, kaya naging tahimik? Is that something that you can say na uh, is the anecdotal evidence enough also? Does it describe also what the evidence itself is provided?
Well, perhaps, sir, kasi nga, it translates to people being more comfortable roaming the streets at night dahil they're confident na wala na yung biglang lulundag dyan from out of nowhere,
Mm.
na pagtitripan ka o sasaktan ka. Eh kung babae pa, di sadly, pagsasamantalahan sila.
Mm.
We've heard these stories before. And yes, ako rin na may mga nakausap naman ng mga tao who belong to communities where dati-rati, meron palaging ganyan, natatakot sila, baka may hindi bawal basta maglakad-lakad sa kalsada. Eh ngayon bawal maglakad dahil may COVID, may
Oh, may
curfew.
COVID.
Bago nagsimula itong COVID, I've already seen people say, I feel safe roaming the streets at night now because definitely it feels much safer. Tahimik na, wala na yung mga, kasi yung mga nag-surrender sila, no? And that's sumasa ilalim na sa intervention. Which is, of course, the program is not perfect, but it has its gains. And nobody can contest that. Talagang may nagawang mabuti itong ating pag-focus sa anti-drug campaign.
Direct yung experience mo being with PDEA since the time of GMA. Is this the
Opo.
lowest? Is this the best so far that the campaign has accomplished? Notwithstanding the fact that you've been under different personalities who did their best in curbing the drug
Opo.
the drug the drug epidemic. Do you think this is the best so far in terms of performance ang ahensya has
Definitely,
done so
sir.
far?
Definitely, sir. Of course, with due respect to all the bosses that I've served way back in the day, and they've had their own respective strengths, and their programs were all equally good. But talking about the current state, especially now, where we are being led by someone who actually came
Mm.
from our ranks. He's one of us.
Mm.
He is one of us. And alam niya ang pangangailangan, alam niya kung gaano kahirap magtrabaho. Being no less than almost 20 years in the anti-drug campaign and under the leadership of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. If I may give a background there, Sir Ron, si
Yeah,
Director
please.
General Wilkins M. Villanueva ang nagsimula nitong Barangay Drug Clearing Program. Nung siya po ay Regional Director pa ng PDEA Regional Office 11 sa Davao.
Okay.
Kung saan, ito po ay actually naging thesis niya sa kanyang master's degree sa Ateneo de Davao. At ang alkalde po ng Davao noon ay walang iba kundi si Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Doon po nila pinatupad itong tinatawag na, ngayon ay kilala bilang tukhang, pero noon ang tawag po nila ay house visitation. Kung saan identified nila sa tulong ng barangay kung alin dyan ang bahay na kung saan may taong sangkot sa illegal na droga, pupuntahan nila, lalakarin nila isa-isa, kakatukin nila, pakikiusapan nila. Kaya nga tukhang katok at pakiusap, tukhang yun. Kakatukin ni Sir Wilkins noon yan, papakiusapan niya yung tao doon, willing ka ba sumailalim sa programa upang matulungan ka? Pag nag-yes, lalagay doon. I support PDEA's anti-drug campaign.
Mm.
Lalagyan doon sa kanyang bahay, lalagyan ng, magpapaskill doon ng, parang kumbaga, advisory o parang reminder, I support PDEA's anti-drug campaign. And it
Mm.
worked. We all know the success story of Davao. At ang nangyari ngayon, ginawa nila yan ngayon ng ating mahal na Pangulo nationwide.
Mm.
With the current program of the Barangay Drug Clearing Program now happening and now earning strides of success with, as I mentioned, only 13,649 barangays remaining to be cleared until the end of the current administration's term. So it actually works. It has its strides of success, notwithstanding the naysayers. And then, if I dare say, yes, the PDEA has never been in best shape it ever was. Now, under the current leadership of our Director General, and of course supported by no less than the President, who is on top of the anti-drug campaign and who made it one of his priority thrusts of governance to address the drug problem.
Direk, I can't imagine the morale must be very high para sa mga PDEA
Oh,
agents natin ngayon, no?
oh,
Kasi all out yung support ng ating presidente, of course, sa
oh.
inyong mandato. I'm just curious din, Direk, how hard was it before knowing, I hope you don't mind me interjecting na, of course, some of our viewers also have this impression that yung sobrang talamak ang droga nung nakaraan na infiltrate na yung ating mga law enforcement. So how's the campaign been in terms of curbing the infiltration of some of the influence of drug cartels into our enforcement agencies?
Well, the cleansing of rags is a continuing program, even under previous administrations. But it's never been given the emphasis that it has now, more than ever. And of course, the president has been saying this time and again. Kasi lahat na ng uri ng suporta, benepisyo, binigay na niya, especially po sa uniform services. We're catching up. We're catching up. I can say that with certainty dahil Director General Wilkins Villanueva has already sought the specific help coming from lawmakers in order that the Magna Carta for PDEA agents, drug enforcement officers, and personnel will be brought into fruition or passed into law, and eventually para makahabol yung benefit package natin. But even with that, I'm just saying, hindi mo pang gumawa ng kalokohan kung ang benepisyo nyo naman ay talagang yun na. Binigay na lahat ng suporta nandyan, kagamitan, benefit packages, salaries, allowances, and all sorts of provisions. And then as for us, we're well supported by our Director General in all our needs. And with a stern warning din, na kahit ideya ka pa, kapag ikay nasangkot sa anumang illegal na gawain, ay mangunguna pa si Director General Wilkins Villanueva sa paghuli sa iyo. It's a stern warning to all of us. And the same warning has been given by separate agencies for their respective personnel. So what we're trying to say is, ikaw pa ba? Alam mong bantay sarado ka at suportado ka rin naman ng ating kasalukuyang pamumuno, Pangulo, at ng ating mga heads of agencies. Eh gagawa ka pa ba ng illegal? Siguro naman nakakahiya na, di ba? Na, alam mo namang lahat ng problema niyo, tinutugunan, biglang gagawa ka pa ng kalukuhan. I think kapag ang tao ganun pa ang ginawa, may kalalagyan ka na talaga. Kasi probably you belong somewhere else and not in this campaign.
Direk, are you saying that within the agency, meron kayong parang grupo na all they do is investigate yung mga katiwalian within the agency?
Counterintelligence and lifestyle checks are constant activities here in PDEA, and the same is true even in other law enforcement agencies. I can say that with certainty. We have our share, and they've been properly addressed already. Hindi lulusot yan talaga. Kasi the Director General will not let it slide at all. And that's an assurance sa mga kababayan po natin na talagang kami, nasa maayos sa trabaho lang po ang aming focus. There's no place for scalawags in this agency.
May mga questions tayo dito direct from
yes,
some of our viewers. Sabi tanong ni Yoyla Atabib, paano po kung user lang hinuhuli pa rin po ba yung mga user?
All right. Ang user po kasi under the law is viewed as a victim. So dapat po dyan sa tulong ng barangay, kaya nga po may tinatawag na under the Barangay Drug Clearing Program, there is the BADAC the Barangay Anti-Drug Abuse Council, and there should be a voluntary referral desk under the office of the MADAC, usually supervised by no less than the barangay, punong barangay chairman.
Mm.
So, kapag user, yan nga po sasailalim dapat sa programa, pero kailangan siyempre kasama dyan yung pamilya na susuporta dun sa user para magbagong buhay siya. At ang tanggalin po natin yung psyche ng Filipino psyche na nahihiya or in denial. Hindi, mabait yung anak ko. Hindi yan ganun. Napabarkada lang yan. Ganun nga po, nanay or ate, ang sasabihin ninyo, na mabait yung anak nyo, pero yan, nangawala na yung mga gamit sa loob ng bahay. Pamaya-maya yan, biglang hindi na kayo kinikilala. Next thing you know, masakir na kayo yan. Kasi, yung denial nga na rin ayaw nilang isubmit for rehab. Kawawa naman, mawawalay siya sa feeling namin. Mas kawawa kayo pag hindi nyo pinarehab yan. Papatayin kayo yan. O kaya mamimirwisyo yan. Or worse, kapag gumala yan sa kalsada at may ginawang ibang krimen, and then respondihan ng alagad ng batas, at lumaban yan, ay disgrasya. Tapos, sisisihin nila yung alagad ng batas. Pinatay yung user. Napatay siguro. Dahil nga, hindi binigyan ng kaukulang intervention. Dahil ayaw nilang ibigay sa tamang proseso. So, to answer the question, hindi naman po hinuhuli, not unless, Sir Ron, dumaan na sa rehabilitation, ngunit either tumakas o hindi tinapos yung programa or after lumabas sa rehab, hindi naman sumailalim sa aftercare at nag-backslide. Kapag paulit-ulit kasi ang isang drug user na violating the law and it's already after a couple of times na pumasok sa rehab, pwede nang kasuhan yan talaga. Kasi mga repeat offender na So that's another story. Yes.
Derek, may question ako. Kasi meron recent na incident kasi. Although I haven't heard from the guy na may nagreklamo sa akin. I won't mention which LGU.
Yes.
But di ba usually sa operation, pag may drug operation, kasama ang PDEA at saka PNP pagpunta sa isang bahay. At may kasama ring miyembro ng barangay na pag
especially for search warrant, yes.
For search warrant.
Yes.
Derek, meron ba kayong na-encounter na incident na paminsan dahil kunyari, hindi natin maiwasan itong lugar na to, nasa isang probinsya, wala masyadong scrutiny ng media, na yung ating opisyal or yung ating law enforcer ay ginagawang kalakaran yung paghuli. Na dahil may hinahabol silang, siguro may quota or hindi natin
hindi pwede tawagin quota yan. Kasi di ba sa gobyerno tayo, meron tayong tinatawag na mga IPCR or OPCR, DPCR, ganon. But that doesn't translate to a quota. Kasi intelligence-based ang trabaho. When you make an arrest, dapat po dyan kasi you take away the people who really have involvement. And then when you take them away from the streets and put them behind bars, or bring them to justice, dapat apektado dyan yung kalakaran ng illegal na droga sa komunidad at matitigil yung supply chain. Now, hindi mo dapat gawing kalakaran o hanap buhay per se ang paghuhuli. Ibang kwento yan. That will be more of the exception than the rule. At pinagpapawal din yan. More so, para gawing gatas ang baka, ang isang tao na huhuli, biglang mamaya bukas sa kalawa, pakawala uli. Ibang usapan na yan. Yan yung tinatawag na bangketa. Na bandang huli ay hinuhuli ng different counterintelligence units ng mga law enforcement or government agencies. So that's why the PNP has their IMEG, Integrity Monitoring and Enforcement Group, which used to be their CITF or Counterintelligence Task Force. We have our own counterintelligence group as well, closely monitoring people who are reported to be doing that. And I'm sure the same is true with also the NBI and then other law enforcement agencies. Hindi dapat ganyan. Kasi otherwise, babalik tayo dun sa una kong sinabi kanina na para tayo mga asong ulol na hinahabol ang buntot natin na wala, to no avail. Actually, may mga nangyayaring ganyan dati. Kaya lumala yung problema. Kasi hindi dapat ganyan. Sabi nga ni Director General Wilkins Villanueva, hindi yan ang tamang paraan upang magsagawa ng trabaho dito sa ating pagsumpo sa illegal na droga. Pag nanghuli ka, dapat yung huhulihin natin ay yung kapag inalis mo siya doon sa equation, apektado yung supply chain, bulabog, at mawawalan ng pagkukunan yung mga naghahanap ng illegal na droga. And you
Kaso
address,
direct
yeah.
gina kaso direct meron itong ang kwento na umabot sa akin is
Mhm.
yung ating ah, yung enforcer ay nagpaplanta daw ng droga. Ngayon
Ay,
anong
uni,
gagawin anong gagawin sa ganyan?
planting of evidence under Section 29 of Article 2 of RA 9165 used to be punishable by death. Now it's punishable by life imprisonment with the death sentence still suspended. Pero sir,
Mm,
if you would give us the details in confidence, we will look into it. I-submit natin sa ating intelligence units upang matugunan po yung hinaing ng ating kababayan. Because definitely, hindi po yan ang tamang paraan ng pagsasagawa ng anti-drug operation. Kasi hindi yan ang tinuro ng ating Director General na dati pang superintendent ng PDEA Academy at nagtitrain din ng ibang law enforcement units. So we can assure,
itong
yes,
particular situation na to, direct kasi ang napansin ko, or maybe I don't know if this is a common practice for some bad elements or bad apples from whatever agency, PNP ba or PDEA. Pag if this person has been marked as as part of a list, kumbaga, who surrendered. Like for example, if you surrendered for drug usage, then you'll be yung name mo nandun na sa listahan na yon. So paminsan yung ibang agency daw or meron daw mga tao na medyo may kalokohan na ating mga enforcers na ginagawa nila ay pipilitin daw itong tao na to maging asset. At paminsan daw they do whatever they can to just to press this person to work for them. And is that something that you can, or can you pressure someone who already surrendered?
hindi yung gano'n. Kasi ano yan, that is wrong application of intelligence procedures. Kasi yes, you recruit action agents, pero you do not force people to work for you. Especially so kung yun nga, dati sila may kinalaman na may pagkakasangkot. Gusto na nga magbagong buhay. Paano magbabagong buhay yung tao pag ganyan pinipilit pa nila uli? Walang sapilitan nito. Kasi marami namang ibang tao dyan na gustong tumulong na lalapit sa atin because the agency maintains its integrity. Kapag nakita nilang may integridad ng isang ahensya at ang kanyang mga operatiba, ang taong bayan mismo ang lalapit. Sir, kaya nga nagtatag ng kaya nga nagtatag ng social media accounts si Director General Wilkins Villanueva. Now receiving information 24/7 with duty personnel, receiving and validating the information, and many of them have already resulted in fruitful and successful anti-drug operations. Kaya nga po sinetap ni Director General Wilkins Villanueva yung isumbong mo kay Wilkins. Kasi kasama na dyan ang pagsumbong ng mga tiwali kung saan mga ahensya sila, lalo na kung PDEA sila. Kaya nga po may hotlines dyan na isumbong mo kay Wilkins. Later on, I'll browse the numbers and give them to you. In fact, I can do that now. Pero allow me time to browse it muna, sir. Kasi,
Sige, no problem. I'll read some of the messages here while you do that.
Yes, sir.
Direct. Sabi
Yes, sir.
dito ni Marisol Gloriani, saludo po kami sa inyo, sir, at sa mga nasa PDEA. Sa totoo lang, ramdam namin yung mga OFWs pag nakauwi, hindi na nakakatakot sa mga lugar namin ngayon. Mismong pamilya namin ang nagbabalita sa amin na na-rehab na si ganon, si ganito. Maraming salamat po talaga sa ating Pangulong Duterte at higit sa lahat sa ating Panginoong Diyos. Patuloy nawa kayong ingatan at ligtas sa kapahamakan. That's from...
Maraming salamat, Ma'am Marisol Gloriani. Ito, sir, tama-tama. I have it right here. Paano ba makita ito? Ayun, no? Isumbong mo kay Wilkins.
Okay.
Pag ito nakita nyo, yan, si DG na mismo yan, ha? Huwag na kayo magatubili. Babasahin ko po. Problema pa ang illegal na droga sa inyong komunidad o sa inyong lugar, isumbong mo kay Wilkins. You can do that actually by sending your private message straight to this page. Isumbong mo kay Wilkins. Or meron po mga hotlines, Sir Ron. For Globe, it's 0995-354-7020. Ulitin ko po, 0995-354-7020. For Smart and Sun Cellular, isa na lang po yan, 0931-027-8212. Ulitin po natin, 0931-027-8212 for Smart and Sun Cellular. Kung tatanungin niyo po, kung baka mamaya mapanganib ang buhay niyo, hindi po. Because all information shared to us, lahat po na nagbibigay ng informasyon, ay definitely totally sikreto po yan. Hindi malalaman ng kahit sino na kayo po ay nagsumbong, and with utmost confidence po yan, tatanggapin yung informasyon, will be subjected to the intelligence cycle through validation, and eventually kapag talaga napatunayan na yan po ay karapat-dapat na magsagawa ng anti-drug operation, pupunta po rin ng PDEA. Hintayin nyo lang. Marami na po nangyari at nagbungang successful operations sa pamamagitan po nitong programa ni Director General Wilkins Villanueva na isumbong mo kay Wilkins.
Isumbong mo kay Wilkins. This is at facebook.com.
Yes, sir. Yes. It's a Facebook page, and at the same time, there are mobile hotlines assigned to receive information. At 24/7 ang duty niyan, sir, ha? Diretso dito sa ating Intelligence and Investigation Service. Meron po talaga mga nakatutok dyan na ahente. Hindi basta call center yan. Ahente ang tatanggap ng inyong reklamo at makakaasa kayo, hindi malalaman kung sino yung nagsumbong.
Sir, i-type ko dito para makita ng ating mga viewers. Ano yung number, sir, ulit? Nung yung sa yung smart na number?
0931 027 8212.
Okay, and yung isa, sir, is
yung Globe po 0995 354 7020.
Yun. Iyan ko, sir. I-scroll ko ngayon para makita nila. Yung
numero. Importante po yan. Mahalaga sa ating Director General yan. Isumbong mo kay Wilkins. Kaya nga po meron yung hashtag isumbong mo kay Wilkins. IMKW. Yan po yan. Isumbong mo kay Wilkins.
Ayan, sir, no? Tama ba?
Yes. Yes, sir. Capitalize lang yung IMKW. Isumbong mo kay Wilkins.
So, capitalize ang I, K, tsaka W.
IMKW. Yun yung abbreviation niya, sir. At isumbong mo kay Wilkins. Yan.
Yun.
Yan, sir.
So, last question, no, para before we end our this is a very enlightening interview. Of course, it's pambira po natin na makausap ang anybody from PDEA to give us some insights on what's happening. Lahat na lang nakikita natin, nababalitian na lang natin sa news. So maganda dito sa ating blog ay lahat ng impormasyon na kailangan natin, sir, natatanong kaagad natin sa iyo.
Salamat, sir.
What is ano yung goals ng PDEA ngayon from here on until 2022? I mean, bumababa na yung drug usage, yung mga drug cases. Yes. What's the next step para kay sa ating Director General?
Yes, our Director General is still focused on yung remaining 13,649 drug-affected barangays. So yan po yung ating, dyan nakatungo ng ating pansin ngayon, sir. And on top of that, yung pag-maintain ng drug clear status ng mga 21,471 na na-clear na natin. So yun po yung focus natin ngayon. Dapat yung drug clear hindi na ma-revert into drug affected. At yung remaining na drug affected, kailangan ma-clear po natin. That way, we will be able to deliver our President's promise na ang problema sa illegal na droga ay hindi na magiging malaking suliranin ng bayan by the time na matapos po ang kanyang pamumuno. Yun ang goal natin also. Well, of course, the vision of PDEA as revised by our recent strategic planning session headed by no less than the Director General says that by 2030, we look forward to having drug-resistant and self-policing communities. Ngayon pa lang, sinisimulan na po natin yan by focusing our attention through the Barangay Drug Clearing Program on the clearing of the 13,649 remaining drug-affected barangays and the maintenance of the drug-cleared status of the 21,471 drug-cleared barangays. And of course, it's a challenge, Sir Ron, to be doing all this amid this current situation of COVID-19. Ngunit sa kabila ng marami ng tinamaan na kawani po ng PDEA, meron dyan higit isang beses na pong tinamaan ng COVID, ay patuloy pa rin po naglilingkod ng ating mga ahente. Labas pa rin sila ng labas upang magsagawa ng anti-drug operations at upang isulong ang ating kampanya laban sa illegal na droga, in tandem, of course, with our coalition, the Philippine National Police, the National Bureau of Investigation, the Bureau of Customs, the Armed Forces, and all other agencies supporting us in this campaign. Ang gusto po namin sana mangyari is let's embrace the concept of yung tinatawag nga na whole of government and whole of nation approach. Hindi po matatapos ang problema ng illegal na droga kung hindi po natin ito pagtutulong-tulungan bilang isang sambayanan, isang bayan na nagkakapit-bisig at nagkakaisa laban sa illegal na droga.
Thank you so much,
So that's it.
Derek, for joining us tonight. No, but before you go, maybe you can also encourage. Kasi sabi mo, it's a whole of nation approach, no? Siyempre, lahat ng ininganyo nyo, lahat ng mga ating mga kababayan, lalong-lalo na kung meron silang experience ng ng any cases of drug usage or drug pushing
Yes.
sa kanilang community. Paano sila kumbaga i-guarantee na hindi sila mapinsala kung mag-cooperate sila sa ating mga ahensya?
Makakaasa po kayo. Ayun nga po, gaya na sinabi natin kanina, Sir Ron. Diyan lang po, isumbong mo kay Wilkins. Para wag na kayong mag-alinlangan dahil direkta po yan. Walang ibang, pagkatanggap po ng report na yan, walang ibang pupuntahan niya kundi si Director General Wilkins Villanueva mismo. Wala nang ibang dadaanan po yan. Diretso yan kay DG Wilkins. So makakaasa po kayo. All information is treated with utmost confidence. So wag po kayong mag-alinlangan, wag kayo mag-atubili. At sabi nga niya, lahat ng uri ng sumbong, pati kung may salbahe dyan na PDEA sa lugar ninyo, isumbong mo kay Wilkins. Tutugunan niya po yan. We can assure you that. Kasi dyan lang po ma-assure sa taong bayan na mismong si DG Wilkins is above the situation, so on top of the situation, and is looking into every aspect of the anti-drug campaign. Kaya nananawagan po kami kasi sabi nga po natin, itong problema ito, hindi problema lang ng gobyerno. Problema nating lahat. Kaya dapat po ito pagtulungan natin. Dahil walang ibang makikinabang po dito kung hindi ang mga kabataan na siyang pag-asa ng kinabukasan ng ating bayan. At isa pang sinabi niya, Sir Ron, nga pala, importante din. May millennial na nagtanong kay DG Wilkins early during the time when nung kauupo niya pa lang. Paano po kami makakatulong bilang mga bata, mga membro ng kabataan bilang millennial? Isa lang, sabi niya, umiwas ka lang. Yan. Wais ang pag-iwas sa illegal na droga. Doon pa lang, nakakatulong na tayo. So umiwas lang tayo sa illegal na droga, malaking bagay na, sabi ni DG Wilkins. So maraming salamat, Sir Ron. Sa ngalan po ni Director General Wilkins M. Villanueva, pagtulungan po natin itong kampanya natin laban sa illegal na droga. Maraming salamat.
Mabuhay kayo, PDEA Director Derrick Carreon, for joining Istoryang Futbolero. Keep up the good work, sir. Alam ko kayo rin po ay nagkasakit ng COVID na kumakailan lang. At we're very happy that you fully recovered. At God bless all the agents of PDEA for all the hard work that you do in the sacrifices, sir. Malamang marami po sa ating mga viewers at ating mga kababayan na ina-appreciate yung trabaho, na napakahirap na trabaho ng PDEA dito sa ating kampanya laban sa droga. Thank you, sir. Sir Derrick.
Maraming salamat po. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sir Ron.
You have a good
mga kababayan.
I hope to catch you. I hope we can invite you again one of these days
Sure.
for Istoryang Futbolero.
Sige, sir. Always a pleasure. Just let me know. It's always a pleasure to join programs like this kasi this is a new concept for me. Having come from coming from mainstream media, natutuwa po ako ngayon dahil may mga platform ng ganito in order to inform the public on a different level. So maraming salamat po, Sir Ron, sa Istoryang Futbolero. Nag-enjoy ako. Maraming salamat.
Sir, don't hesitate to ask me as well. Kung meron kang kailangang important thing to announce, let us know para we can set up the platform for you.
Yes. Pahabol na lang po sa mga interesado pa mag-apply bilang PDEA agent. We are still accepting applications for all those who are qualified. Very quickly, let me browse through the qualifications. If you're 21 to 35 years old, 5'2" minimum height for males, 5 feet for females. If you don't reach the height requirement, pwede naman po mag-apply ng NCIP height waiver or NCIP certificate. And of course, member of, if you're a holder of a baccalaureate degree, in other words, a 4-year course, at kung may hawak kayong eligibility na civil service professional, or pumasa po kayo ng kahit anong board exam ng PRC, or kayo po ay declared second level eligible under special law, for instance, honor graduate kayo, then please, of course, magpasa po kayo ng inyong mga credentials sa pinakamalapit na tanggapan ng PDEA sa inyong lugar o dito po sa PDEA National Office through the PDEA Academy liaison office, and we're still accepting applications for PDEA agents or drug enforcement officers.
Ayun,
So that's it, Sir
tama-tama.
Ron.
Tama-tama, Direk. May mga tao rin naghahanap ng trabaho. Might as well work for
Opo, yeah.
PDEA.
Opo, malay nyo naman. At napakarangal pong trabaho dito ay isang karangalan ng mapabilang sa hanay po ng PDEA. Lalong-lalo na po sa kasalukuyang kampanya natin na talagang pinaigting at inayos po upang matugunan ang problema ng illegal na droga na matagal na po sa ating bansa. Kaedad ko yan, Sir Ron, if I remember right, because the very first anti-drug law was enacted in 1972, same year I was born. So that's 49. I just turned 49 over the weekends. Hindi na katagal yung problema sa droga.
Actually, Derek, meron dito mga bumabati sa'yo. Belated happy birthday daw.
Salamat po.
Derek, sino ba to merong nag-message kanina? Sabi ni Noynoy Murillo, former DJ daw kayo, Derrick Carreon.
Yes. Yes, I came from Bombo Radio Star FM Baguio. So yes, and I worked in media for 14 years, which is why I said I came from mainstream media. I used to be a staunch advocate against illegal drugs and crime. But then it dawned upon me, sabi ko palagi ko, it's high time na I jump over the fence and go to the other side. Na instead of just using the power of the microphone and broadcast, I go all out and join the campaign as a frontliner, firsthand. And there are no regrets, Sir Ron, no regrets ever since. I can tell you, the campaign has its ups and downs, pero narito po kami, patuloy na nakikibaka para po sa Diyos at sa bayan. Yan po importante. Dahil para sa kabataan lalo na.
Sabi ni Zaira, 80, Derek, happy birthday, Sir Director Carreon. More power. Ayun.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mag-ingat po tayo, Derek. Alam ko napakahirap ng trabaho ng isang kawani ng PDEA. It's a very dangerous job to say the least, but you're doing a good job. At the same time, it requires a lot of integrity for anybody to be part of PDEA. So we really appreciate that. Derek, again, thank you so much. Stay safe.
Maraming salamat po. Isang karangalan po, makasama kayo ngayong gabi. God bless you all. Mag-ingat po tayo lahat.
So that's it. Derrick Carreon from PDEA. Thank you so much, sir. You have a good night. Yun si Director Derrick Carreon, ladies and gentlemen. Catch you again for more Istoryang Futbolero. See you again soon. Bye, guys. See you.